Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, I've acquired a few new trees, and one of them I want to get started on right away. Welcome to Bonsai Acres. Welcome everyone into the PSGF on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. We went from the 60s yesterday to the 40s today, back to the 70s by Friday, and then rain/wind, maybe some snow on Saturday, and a high of 32 on Sunday. The roller coaster, yeah, you got to enjoy it while you can. So the warm-up will be nice. Inside the PSGF, right now we have 66 glorious degrees. And plants continue to wake up. Look at this cutting from one of my Japanese maples, and look at the leaves on that guy. Fantastic. So excited to have another Japanese maple to my collection. As little as it might be, we're going to try to make that into something someday. Yeah, it's got a lot of years ahead of it. So a friend of mine from the Minnesota Bonsai Society, a big shout out to Mike. And Mike has been a great member to have a part of the club. And he's having some shifts in his life where he's going to be leaving the state. And so he is shifting his collection, selling off trees, and he wants to be out of town by the springtime. And I think he's going to be heading to Colorado area. So the best of luck to Mike and his endeavors. I hope we stay in touch. A great guy, a good friend of my friend Henry from Henry 2 Bonsai. Check out his YouTube channel for some fun stuff. And Mike is a good guy. And so I purchased a couple of trees from him. Now, I'm not typically a guy who buys a lot of higher end trees and just want to have a poof instant tree. But I wanted to help out Mike in his endeavors and his change in his life. And so I picked up a few trees. I probably will sell a few of them within the next year or so. But there's a couple I might keep. And one of them is I do love the color of the Colorado Blue Spruce. And some of those trees with that bluer hue to them I just think are fantastic. And so I've got myself, from my friend Mike, one of his trees. It is a Colorado Blue Spruce. Let's introduce you to one of my new trees. The passive solar green frame has a whole bunch of trees that are starting to wake up, and it's just getting kind of crowded in here. So we're going to make this work the best we can. I hope I don't get in the way of your tree too much. But here is the Colorado Blue Spruce from my friend Michael. As we give this thing a little bit of a spin here. Got a nice little movement down low on the trunk. Always looking for that low movement down there. We got a couple of branches that were maybe going to be gins that weren't ever cleaned off. And we've got some branches to work with. My biggest concern, as always, with a new tree to me, as much as I trust my friend Michael, hasn't been repotted for at least a year or two. I want to check it out and see what we've got for soil and give it a fresh start for here in my neck of the woods, my microclimate compared to his. So he said there's just, the coloration of this tree got a little bit wonky last year. So that's another reason why I want to make sure I give it good, clean, fresh dirt. Bonsai soil actually, and so we can see if we can revive this tree and give it its best chance for a very, very good spring. So I want it to be fresh soil, so we're going to go ahead and repot this thing. You'll notice the pot that it's in. Let me give you a little ching ching. Yeah, that is not ceramic, that is not wood, that is a metal brake drum or a drum type system here. Big hole in the bottom and some wire holes, and we're going to take this apart and see what we've got to work with here with our tree. So I do love the color of some of the blue spruce. I think it's an Ezo spruce. Is Ezo spruce blue? The Colorado blue is. Maybe it's not Ezo. What am I thinking about that's blue? Write down in the comments the blue trees for me. Maybe I'll come up with it before the end of this filming here. But the Colorado blue, I have two giant ones in my backyard that are over 30, 40 feet tall and wonderful color. And these trees, when you do cut here, if it's real full up here and you cut it and let more light in here, it will back bud. So the Colorado Blues will do some back budding for you if it's healthy. And of course, if you feed it ferociously in the springtime like I plan to do with this guy, we can hope to get some new back budding on this one and just get it all nice and healthy and ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and salvage some of the moss that he has on here, because I'm always looking for more moss. So we'll take off the moss here first, and then we'll get going on this repot. Very heavy pot. This pot is never going to blow away in the wind. This pot probably weighs 20 pounds, 15, 10 minimum. I don't know. I'd have to see without the tree in it, but pretty darn robust. And we got a tree that's going to hopefully kind of snuggle right out of here. I want to be careful with this, though, so I'm going to go around the edge. I want to conserve as much as I can, because, again, this tree has maybe got something going on down here. We want to make sure that we're going to keep this as many roots as intact, so I have all the decisions I can make. All right, there we go. So there's the bottom of this pot. You see that great big hole down there? Perfect bonsai drainage holes. And we have all the leftover soil and a few bits of roots. And we have some stuck on there. Look at that. Almost like patina there. All right, on the inside. So we'll set this aside. I think I'm going to use the same pot in here. A great tree, very roughed tree. Rough design to it for a nice pine tree. I think that's just fabulous. All right. A lot of times with pine trees, we do not take all of the soil off at one time. Now that's usually when it's collected as a nabari, or excuse me, as a yamadori, or if we get a nursery stock. We're going to slowly but surely introduce, I'm going to reuse this screen, it's in good shape. We only will maybe get through 25% of the soil the first year, and then another 25%, and after 3 or 4 repots, we're going to be down to just the roots and bonsai soil. But in the beginning, we want to be careful with that. And anytime we see any mycorrhiza on there, that beneficial fungi, we're going to be in good shape. Now this wire job, he put right through the tree. I've not seen anybody do that in my time, so there is a new one to me. So I'm going to cut this as clean as I can right there. And there's that part. That's to hold this thing down in the tree, because it obviously is a tree with less root structure. So you don't have anything to tie that to. So let's see if we can crank this out of here. Whether that did anything to the tree or not, I doubt. We do a lot of damage to our trees, and so a wire through a tree. I've seen a tree in the Stillwater, Minnesota area that's on a tour of mansions. There we go, we pulled that right out of here. It's a tour of mansions, and this tree was growing right around a wrought iron fence. And it didn't do anything but to the tree, but just all of a sudden capture this wrought iron fence. Okay, so we do not have a tremendous root flare down here. We have kind of a weak side over here with not much going on. So I'm not sure when it was repotted last, but the soil is not broken down too much. So I'm not going to disturb too many roots, because we want to hopefully get this thing so it's super, super healthy. And I don't want to risk cutting a lot of roots off of here. Now there is some roots at the tips here that look a little blackened, like they are kind of a done deal. And then the rest, drop my scissors, the rest of the roots are looking okay. And again, if we have some white growth on here, I don't know if this is starting to grow here or not. But again, I have a couple of weak, dead-looking branch root structures here that are just kind of dead and crusty looking. And I don't want to cut too many of the good roots. I want to leave those for our future of this tree. Yeah, this right here, a couple of these really brittle roots out here, don't know how many of those are viable, but we got some viability there, it looks like. So we got most of the soil out of here. A couple of little pieces here and there. Not overly concerned about that. Let's get our pot ready again, and we'll see about getting this into some fresh soil. Got the mesh in there on a couple of the holes, and that is plenty good for this tree. and that big of a mesh. So I got my bigs on the bottom, and I got some good mediums here. And now the root structure. So as you can see, the root structure is a little lacking here. We got a big section right here, a decent section here and here. These kind of almost cross though. I'd like those to be more like that and that. This one down here is just rotted away. We don't have anything down on the bottom here, but I think we can clean that up a little bit. Let's get a little bit of cutting down here. So we're just going to cut the bottom of this a little bit lower. This was the old taproot, if you will, bottom of the tree. And we want this to sit a little bit lower in the pot, so we're going to get this just carved up a little bit. A little bit lower. And then the next repot, we can dwindle it a little bit more if our roots are doing what we want them to do. Okay, now my question is how is this going to stay in the pot? And what is the front of my tree here? Kind of like this. I think this is kind of the front. It's a round pot, so we're going to pretty much put it in the center. And what I might have to do is just put rocks in here to hold this tree up and not wire it in at all. But it's got, you know, I mean, it'll kind of stay up right like this if I let it go just gently. It's going to stay up. But of course, any bumps, any movements is going to be tough for this tree. But if I put some rocks on here after I get the dirt, the soil on here, I think we'd be in good shape to keep it nice and strong instead of trying to wire it in some conspicuous way. But I think we have a possible solution for wiring it. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up with the rest of our soil, and we're going to see. Okay. Big mound of soil there. When we put mounds of dirt in our bonsai pots, a lot of times the water can run right out and we don't water our trees very good. So you just have to make sure you know that if it's a mounded pot that you're going to have to be considering that, right? And so I have the tree kind of in the center there. It's leaning a little bit towards the front. If I can kind of just snug it down there a little bit more. The roots were all splayed out in as best 360 degrees as this tree can give us right now. So we have all this growth out front if this is the front of the tree. So this may become the front and we lose this branch someday, but I'm not going to cut any branches off today at all. I want this to complete, well, I say that always and you wonder, right? But I really don't want to cut this. I just wanted to repot this tree and get it started with some fresh soil here. Okay, now, let me get my chopstick here. Let me see if there's any. This is my medium-sized soil, and the roots were kind of thin. Always trying to tamp down some of the soil through some of the nooks and crannies. Wasn't too many nooks and crannies. It laid pretty flat on the soil. I don't have to tuck too much soil underneath. So there's our soil. What I've debated doing as well to encourage maybe a little bit more growth up top is one little layer of the small size soil up on top here. And I may still do that. But here we go. So I'm not as concerned about the actual placement of this tree because I want this to be a healthy year of growth. So if this is the front, we get rid of this someday, that's looking pretty cool. It's too bad the first primary branch is until way up here, but that's okay. I could angle this tree a little bit more, but again, it doesn't have a great root structure right now, so I want to fix this tree and get that taken care of. So we're going to go ahead and just keep it straight up in the air. I'm going to go ahead and water this tree right away, so that'll help hold things in place, and then I'll see what I have for rocks. So let's go ahead and give this a squirt. Anytime you can put water in your soil right away, it's going to sit in there. A lot better. It's going to sit in there and You see that tree rocked when I did that? Yeah, so we're gonna try to, what are we gonna do for that? So here are my options. I can put rocks on this, but I don't know if that's gonna be enough. So one of the things we can do is we had all those wire holes in the bottom of this pot. We can stick a wire at the bottom of this pot in one of the holes. We can hook it up in there. Then we can come back here and then we can bring it around the tree and come back down here and hook it down at the bottom again. We could do that to kind of secure the tree. And we could twist it around to see if we can get it to be tighter. What can I do there? And then it won't sit flat because there's no legs on here. So I can keep it on blocks or something, and so it helps with the drainage. But my biggest concern is holding this tree in the pot. There is a 5-point tie that I've learned how to do from Peter T on a tree like this, but it's all going to come hugging right next to this trunk anyway. So I think we have to kind of go around the trunk somehow and secure this in. So the concept is to wrap a wire around this way and come around here and hook it at the bottom. I wonder if I can do that. And if I can go both ways, it'll create tension both ways. So I'm going to see if I have the right tools for that, and we'll put that in motion. So what I'm thinking is that this can go around the tree this way and we can tighten it here, and then I'll put two this way and we can tighten it that way. So let me get my other wire. Let's see if this is going to be a possible fix to this solution to this problem. And we got our cables in there. We have our root system. We don't care about left or right, front, back. We're just going to keep all these roots viable in here and get them going on their path. Okay, so I want a little bit of soil in there to cover all those roots up so I don't damage the roots. Okay, so that might be even a little bit lower in the pot than it was before, so that's a good thing. Now, in order for me to do this, I have some tubing here that's going to go around the wire so I don't harm the tree as much as possible. So let me go ahead and cut off a couple of 3-inch sections here, and we're going to go ahead and put this on the wire. Okay, so here we go. We're going to put this on this wire, and that's going to protect that side, and I'm going to put this on this side to protect this side. We don't need it right there. We need it towards the end. And now here's what I'm thinking, everybody. I'm going to bring this side over here and cup it to the tree and put that protection right on the base of the tree so I don't affect the tree. Right about there. And is this going to be pretty? No. I'm trying to rescue this tree and make it so it's going to be pretty in the future. So there's the two wires combined, and there we wrap it around twice. Now that's going to hold it that way, okay? So let's go ahead and grab the wire cutter. We have a lot of extra wire here. I was very, very liberal. All right. And then I'm not going to go too tight yet, but here's this side of the tree. We're going to grab this wire with this tubing all together in one fell swoop, and we're going to give it a twist, and we're going to give it a twist. Now that's pulling on the wire from down underneath this metal pot, and it's pulling it that way a little bit, right? And then we have these two to go around the other way, and I think this is going to work. I really hope this is going to work. And so let's cut off our other 3-inch hoses there and there, and we get this around this side, and we get this around this side, and let's see if this method is going to work. So I want to pull the tree back, and it's pulling against that wire. So then I can pull this one here, move this mesh a little bit, and then move this mesh a little bit, or the tubing actually, it's not really mesh. We're going to bring these two wires together now right there on the trunk of the tree, and we're going to spin it once or twice here with my old bread try. So we have wires going this way and twisted here, so it pulls it this way, and then a wire going this way, so it twists here and pulls it that way, and this is going to make this tree nice and secure and snug. And I think we'll be okay. And of course, we'll let all these roots grow. We'll let this thing get all good and healthy. And the next time we repot this, we'll be able to fix this repotting to look even better. So let's twist this one a couple of times. Okay, so there we have it. And look, already it's nicer. Look. Oh, that's really nice. That's really in there good. So let's just go one more twist right here. Right? Oh, that was just a nice little twist, and one twist right here. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and cut off these extras. Right there. And right down there. There we go. Let's cut off this extra right here and right here. Get those pieces out of the soil if I can. I'm losing that one down the soil here. Let me see if I can get it with my chopstick. Oh, I lost it. Never, never land. Okay, now I wouldn't want to pick this up by the trunk right now, but look at how sturdy that is. That's moving the whole thing. So we're going to go ahead and get our soil. Let me push this black down a little bit here. Let me push this black down right there. And we, in the end, might not even see the black tubing on this repot. And if we do a little bit, I don't really care. Again, this is for the health of the tree, not for beauty. It's not going in a show anytime soon. And we have a tree in a pot right there. That's really nice. Now, I mentioned before a little bit of fines on top. I think I might want to do that. I have just a little bit in this bag. Let me see if I can do that and see how that looks to top dress this tree. Okay, so there's my fines to top dress this tree. So this is going to hold just a little bit more moisture on the top of this tree and not so much on the bottom, and it's very well drained on the bottom and just looks all nice and pretty and clean now. Let's give this a good old watering. And again, this is mounded. You can't even see the black tubing right now. This is mounded. And this is going to be a really good tree as far as drainage because of the great big soil at the very bottom, the medium soil in the middle, and then we have this thinner soil, this small soil up top. So some of these roots that are on the surface are going to also stay in good shape as far as moisture. Now, if this is a root from the tree right now, I'm going to cut off what looks to be this dead section right here. And then I'm going to take my chopstick and just bury this soil right there, that root. All right, here we go. All right, we're in good shape there. Let the water shoot out the back. So we ended up with a leaning tree, everybody. I wasn't expecting that, didn't do that on purpose, but we have a strong enough tree where it's not going to knock over even if I have a slight bump, and so I'm happy about that. And so now with this leaning tree, maybe it'll stay leaning that way. We get rid of this guy or put him way over here or get rid of him. We've got this as the primary branch with this kind of slightly curve up here. Not a horrible front right there, leaning. Now the only problem with the tree right there with this lean is that's kind of almost perpendicular up and down. We don't typically like that. So maybe I should have leaned it even more, or we could have leaned it this way. But this wasn't an attempt to make a perfect lean. This is an attempt to save this tree. And we got it into some really good fresh soil. And we're going to go ahead and feed this guy really well this spring and hope that this recovers very, very soon. So let's look at the tree now and see if there's anything we can do to it. Now, these are gins. I could finish the gins if I want today and make them a little bit more looking like a gin. We have one really small branch right here that has a little bit of discoloration. Don't know how healthy or viable that is. We've got some new growth up here. That's a very nice looking branch right there with great color where this branch was. And so there's some back budding right there. There's back budding right there, everybody. We could take this whole branch off completely in the future and let those take off. But let's see where it buds. Let's see where it pushes out growth. And we'll worry about trimming this thing much later. There's some new back budding right there as well. That looks pretty healthy. We get rid of that branch someday and that becomes the new part of the tree. Then we have fat on the bottom, skinnier branches, and skinnier tips. So hopefully true to my word here, I said I wouldn't cut any branches off. I am not going to cut any branches off. What I could do is go from 3s to 2s in all these spots. So 1, 2, 3, and there's a 4th one here. I could go from 3s to 2s everywhere, but I do not want to create any stress to this tree. I just want it to shoot out growth and see what happens this spring, and then we'll work on the tree as we know that it's more healthy. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that right there. So, doesn't even look bad that way, but of course that's a tree leaning away from us. This is kind of a fun tree, but if this lean is where I would keep it, I'd want it to be planted more over here. This is a round pot, so it might be looking good from all different directions. We get rid of this branch right here, and maybe something in here. We can see the trunk more or leave it there. We could wire things. We could do so much to this tree. So again, a big thanks to Mike for thinking about me to come over and look at his trees and get kind of first dibs, first, second, or maybe third dibs on some of the trees. And MBS members taking care of each other. And hopefully the legacy of this tree will become a healthy tree in Dave's collection. And he will be happier for that. And maybe someday he'll see it up close and personal in a whole new form than what he left it at. Fun times. All right, so again, my sincere best wishes to my friend Mike on the road on the way to Colorado this spring. He's only going to be around for a couple more months. We got one of the trees that I acquired from him all repotted up in this drum, magnificent pot for bonsai. You see a lot more drums that people have been using, so it's been really kind of fun. Such a great texture for a pine tree for sure. A lot of patina on here. This is fabulous. So, hey, we finished another one. Hey, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you on the next one. Welcome to Bonsai Acres.